Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the Mississippi Daycare Ghostface mask incident? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, including the timeline of the alleged crimes, then offer my analysis. This case takes place in Hamilton, Mississippi, which is near the eastern border of Mississippi, about 2 hours west of Birmingham, Alabama. On October 5, 2022, 3 videos were shared on social media which featured preschool-aged children at a daycare called Little Blessings Child Care and Learning Center. This is the only daycare in this rural area. In one of the videos, which was recorded on October 4, a daycare worker can be seen wearing a mask similar to the Ghostface mask featured in the 1996 movie Scream. Based on an apology video uploaded later, it appears as though this daycare worker wearing the mask was named Sierra McCandless. The students in the daycare called her Cece. In the daycare video, she moved around the room screaming at the children while getting very close to them, like screaming in their faces. The children reacted by crying, screaming, shaking, and running away. It was clear that the children were frightened, and this was not a playful or lighthearted exercise from their point of view. Another female daycare employee who was in the room indicated which children had been behaving well and which children had been behaving badly. Sierra appeared to target one child identified as behaving badly and deliberately frightened him, after which she said, "You better be good." Sierra then entered another room in the daycare and frightened the children there. She appeared to be interested in motivating them to clean up the room. She chased one child around the room before grabbing him and carrying him a short distance. She then screamed at the children several times to clean up. The response to the videos by the public was definitive and severe. People were understandably horrified by what they saw. They couldn't believe that these daycare workers could be so callous and cold. The owner of the daycare center, Sheila Sanders, told a local newspaper that she was not aware of the videos at the time they were recorded. Sheila indicated that she does not condone the behavior of the employees and that all the employees involved were fired. Sierra McCandless, again, this is the daycare worker who appears to have been the one wearing the mask, posted a Facebook video in which she apologized for her actions. Here's a brief summary of her apology video. Some of this is paraphrased. Sierra started by talking about how some people will not be able to understand or forgive her. By her own choice, she will never set foot in a daycare again. She bought the mask at a Dollar General store. Her coworkers asked her if she could use the mask to motivate the children to listen or clean up. She did not go into the classrooms with the intention of terrorizing the children. There was no ill intent. At the daycare, they try to use positive reinforcement, which is all they can do because corporal punishment is not permitted. She ended the video by saying she shouldn't be judged for one mistake that she made. Another daycare worker named Jennifer Newman made a post on social media trying to explain what happened. She indicated that a couple of weeks before the video, some of her coworkers scared the children with masks. She heard that they were going to do it again, so she recorded the video as proof. She made it seem as though she was trying to expose the bad acts of her coworkers, like she was a hero to the children in the daycare. Jennifer did not believe that calling the police would help, which is why she resorted to recording the video instead. On October 19, 2022, 5 workers from the daycare were arrested. 4 of the workers were charged with 3 counts of felony child abuse. 21-year-old Sierra McCandless, 28-year-old Oceana Kilburn, 25-year-old Cheyenne Mills, and 28-year-old Jennifer Newman. I guess the police were more effective than Jennifer originally believed, except she probably didn't think that she would be the one arrested. A 5th worker, 44-year-old Tracy Hudson, was charged with simple assault and failure to report abuse by a mandatory reporter. these charges are misdemeanors. The felony charges against the 4 workers will be presented to the grand jury, who will decide if there's enough evidence for indictments. Now moving to my analysis. There's no doubt that this case involves terrible behavior that should have never happened. The behavior of the daycare workers is difficult to believe. How would anyone inclined to work in that industry have such a profound lack of empathy? In addition, multiple daycare workers were involved. At least 3 had to be present when the video was recorded. The one with the mask, the one without the mask, and the one recording the video. This was not just one rogue teacher who decided to frighten the children. Rather, there was teamwork involved. It's frightening to think that these workers became so detached from their core values, or what should have been their core values. It's also hard to imagine how any reasonable person would watch the behavior featured on the video and not intervene directly in some way. Even though the behavior was reprehensible and no one is happy about it, some people wonder if felony charges are really warranted in this case. Are these charges justified, or is this an overreaction due to the deplorable behavior featured in the video? If these workers are convicted of a felony involving the mistreatment of a child, their careers are over. They will not have to worry about any of their career plans they made for the future. In Mississippi, a felony of this nature can be pardoned by the governor after a minimum of 7 years at the governor's discretion, but it can never be expunged. Even if they received a pardon, which is by no means guaranteed, they will not be allowed to answer no to the question, "Have you ever been convicted of a crime?" The record of their arrest and conviction will remain with them as a lifetime penalty. There is also the prison sentence of 5 to 20 years to worry about. That's assuming that the sentences for all the counts run concurrently. Most people would consider that more than a little inconvenient. In addition, considering the age of the alleged victims, the workers would not be nominated for any type of popularity contest in prison. I imagine the prison welcoming committee would probably only bring them a very small fruit basket. When considering the harsh punishment associated with this type of felony conviction, is the alleged behavior of the daycare workers really at the level of this charge? The way this particular felony charge is described in Mississippi, substantial harm to a child's mental health qualifies. It's not only physical harm that can lead to a conviction. It's worth noting that there may be other incidents the police considered when they charged the daycare workers, like something the public doesn't know about, maybe another video or actions that were not recorded on video. In the social media post by Jennifer, she alluded to a prior incident which was not video recorded. If the state wants to indict these daycare workers for felony charges, they can probably do it because getting an indictment is not that difficult. If they were indicted, this raises the question, are the 4 out of the 5 daycare workers who are charged with felonies guilty? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that they were guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. The alleged behavior captured on video appears to show an organized effort to terrorize the children at the daycare. It was not whimsical, cheerful, or carefree, but rather a fairly serious endeavor that involves screaming and getting physically close to the alleged victims. The purpose of the frightening behavior did not seem to be connected to some type of Halloween celebration. Rather, it was to motivate the children to be good or clean up. Essentially, it was a form of discipline. The alleged behavior took place over the course of an extended duration. It wasn't like the daycare worker scared one child and then stopped immediately. This behavior just kept going on and on. Watching the video becomes more painful as every second passes. A person viewing the video can't help but think, when is she going to stop? The daycare workers misused the authority they had been granted. Moving to the exculpatory factors, the alleged incident occurred during a time when people are thinking about Halloween. Maybe the workers thought that because it was near Halloween, this was just part of the celebration. Children get scared all the time near Halloween. That is supposed to be part of the fun. The daycare workers may have believed that they were using a sanctioned motivational method or punishment, which had a Halloween theme to it. Perhaps they felt that the rules for running a daycare changed around Halloween. In order to prove substantial mental health harm, the alleged victims must have adverse reactions which can be documented by mental health professionals. even if symptoms are present, it could be challenging to connect them to the specific frightening behaviors at the daycare. When considering the evidence, do I think that the daycare workers were guilty of felonies? No, I think there is reasonable doubt in this case. It's not clear that the daycare workers had a criminal state of mind. It wasn't clear that they had intent to commit a crime. There's a long tradition at Halloween of frightening people, including children. I don't approve of the alleged behavior, but it is consistent with the reality of how Americans celebrate Halloween. I think the state has a better chance of getting a conviction for misdemeanors like menacing or harassment. I think these charges would be appropriate in this case. I see this as a case where, if the daycare workers were convicted of a misdemeanor, they should be eligible for some type of diversion program. A felony conviction is a powerful rebuke of an individual by the state, which is disproportionate to these alleged behaviors. It's also worth noting that civil liability could exist in this case as well. The parents of the alleged victims could pursue remedies through civil litigation. Moving to the next question, if the felony charges are inappropriate, why did the state pursue them? I have to wonder if the state is not trying to scare these daycare workers just like the workers scare the children. The police are trying to teach them a lesson. The monster wasn't real. The children were never in physical danger. Similarly, perhaps the state is not serious about trying to convict 4 of these 5 individuals of felony charges. Another possible motive for pursuing felony charges is that the state is trying to force a plea deal. If these daycare workers are indicted, they will probably be offered a plea deal involving misdemeanor offenses. They pretty much will have to take that deal because they can't risk going to trial and being convicted of a felony that can never be expunged, even if they could get it pardoned. Now moving to my final thoughts. This is one of those cases that is shocking and causes a strong emotional reaction. Whether the daycare workers are convicted or not, these 5 daycare workers should examine their own behavior. Targeting a vulnerable population is never acceptable and represents a lack of empathy that should not be ignored. Perhaps this can be a wake-up call for them to examine their own impulse control, judgment, and general attitude toward children. This wasn't a little mistake or a minor incident. It may not have risen to the level of a felony, but that doesn't mean it is not serious. Those are my thoughts on the Mississippi Daycare frightening situation. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.